What's up, everybody? I'm Nesson.com's Ricky Doyle, joined by Cam McDonough. We're here, Cam, to talk a little bit about UFC 202, which happened over this past weekend. Drew rave reviews.
Oh yeah, deservedly so. It was incredible.
I know you were fired up about it when you came in this morning. So
yeah, I mean,
that tells me something.
What's not to be fired up about? I mean, the main event just had everything. I mean, it had all the trash talk leading up to it, and then it lived up to the hype and then some. Incredible 5-round fight, and McGregor ended up pulling it out at the end. It was sort of controversial too, because a lot of Nate Diaz people thought that he won, and you know, it seems to set up perfectly for a potential third fight between them. But the question is what's sort of the next step for Conor McGregor, because he has the belt at 145, and you know, Dana has said he's got to go back and he has to fight for that belt or he's going to lose it. So does he fight for that? Does he go back for Nate Diaz? A lot of question marks with Conor McGregor.
A lot of options, and he really didn't tip his hand after the fact either. I mean, he even left open a possibility of doing something beyond UFC, which I think is pretty interesting. But I don't know. For me, I think the next move, the move I want to see, a move I think a lot of people want to see, is that third fight. I want to see him go right back at Nate Diaz. I want to see, a rubber match. I think we talked about it beforehand, saying, in an ideal world for the UFC, McGregor wins that match and in a fight like the one that developed. So I'd like to see the third fight before anything else. But like you said, might not be an option given where Dana White's head's at right now.
Yeah, and I gotta agree with Dana here. I mean, it seems like he's set on Conor going back and fighting for the 145 belt, and I think, it's just, in terms of fairness here, I think he really does. He has to go back or he's going to lose the belt. So it's sort of up to Conor. If he really values that belt, he's got to go back and fight for it, because he hasn't fought for it almost in a year now. And that Aldo versus McGregor fight is something people want to see too. I mean, the first one didn't really live up to the hype, 14-second knockout, but I think that's something people would love to see again, and I think that's the natural step for them. And in the process, you can spend a lot of time milking that rivalry with Nate Diaz. You can push that off, keep pushing it off, probably till next summer, and have just a huge, massive pay-per-view then, and who knows what'll happen then. McGregor said if he's going to fight him, he has to come back down to 155, and it sort of seems like a good middle ground for the two of them, and there's a lot of options in between right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it, the whole fact of you have this belt and you haven't defended it. It's just kind of sitting there. It's almost just a prop at all these press conferences that he goes to for these Diaz fights. But I just feel like if you're the UFC, you got to strike while the iron's hot. And you said you can milk this, you can drag out the rivalry a little bit. But I just think if you go right back to that well and go for a third fight, I just feel like it would blow everybody away, not just from the product that they'd probably put on based on what we've seen from these two fights so far, but just the fact that, I mean, it's shattering records as it is from, it's a can't-lose situation. Another caveat is, I mean, what if he decides to fight Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight title and, does vacate that featherweight belt? So that's just another added ingredient here that, Dana White can look at the whole thing and say, all right, well, we have these really 3 options, and, pick what you want to do here. I mean, I think McGregor has earned the right through this past performance to kind of dictate what he does. And like I said, I understand where Dana White's head's at, but I just think McGregor's earned the right to kind of, pick and choose here.
Yeah, and it's sort of anyone's guess as to what he wants to do right now, though, because it seems like he's not going to fight Diaz unless he comes back down, and you bring up 155, and that's that's an intriguing option, because you have Alvarez there with the belt. What if McGregor decides to go after that? And then it would be, can you imagine for the third fight to have a belt on the line for it as well? I mean, that would add even more. The problem is you have to have some fights in between in order to build up for it. So I think that would be awesome, not only to have that third fight, which is going to happen. You have to have that third fight, but to have a belt for it as well, I mean, I think that's the best case scenario.
That'd be nice. I'm just not a patient guy. I want it now. Give me the third fight now. Give me the trilogy, the rubber match. You can have your Aldo fight.
Best things come to those who wait. We learned that with WWE sometimes too, right?
So I've heard. Yeah, well, yeah. We could touch on that real quick. The SummerSlam ending, because it's kind of, we've seen this cross-pollination between UFC and WWE as of late. What did you make of that whole SummerSlam ending? Brock Lesnar, pretty controversial, bloodying up Randy Orton. Weird. People thinking maybe he went off script. I don't know. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it was pretty weird. I find it hard to believe that he would just deliberately do that and go off script. You know, I think it was more of a gentleman's agreement. I doubt that the McMahons said that they could, you know, do blood in the match like that, but I think they probably came to a gentleman's agreement out back. You know, I'm going to bust you open, and, you know, that's sort of what happens sometimes in wrestling. You saw that with Brock Lesnar and Undertaker last year, but I think Brock just took it too far, and not only did he hit him, he just, I mean, the blood was just, oh my gosh. You know, if you were queasy, I would not go back and see that because it was brutal.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, I guess to a certain extent I agree with you that maybe there was kind of this agreement to maybe introduce blood into the match, although they've been shying away from that in recent years, so I still don't know if that was, you know, really the intended, you know, what they really wanted to happen at the very end of it. I think the general idea was for Lesnar to kind of win that match and just kind of squash him and then set up that whole thing where he takes down McMahon. I clearly hit him with an elbow. I don't think there was any intent behind it. I think he just got to get away from him. He's a big dude throwing around some big forearms. Obviously, you know, it's a pretty dangerous thing, regardless of whether it's scripted and these guys are just, you know, supposed to be fake, but these are some big dudes in there.
Yeah, they actually bleed when they're bleeding. Sometimes.
Yeah, guys do get hurt.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm Ricky Doyles, Cam McDonough. Cam, appreciate you coming on to talk multiple combat sports here.
Thanks for having me, Ricky.
All right, now we're going to go throw down out in the studio.
He likes vanilla ice cream.
I do. Thanks.